No, her laugh is career.
And I pledge to you.
In the final weeks leading up to the U.S. presidential election, Republican nominee Donald Trump has spent millions on this ad campaign.
Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
The online and TV advertisements in battleground states attack Trump's Democratic rival Kamala Harris, saying she supports taxpayer-funded transgender health care for prison inmates and men in women's sports. The two are hot-button talking points in a broader campaign against transgender rights. But how significant is the issue?
Transgender insanity, the hell out of our schools.
Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance frequently bring the topic up at rallies and in interviews.
But me personally, keep men out of women's sports.
At one such Vance rally in Portage, Michigan, Trump supporter Richard Merrill said it is Democrats who keep the issue on the political agenda, quote, because they've got no policy.
Transgender, I think it's a scam anyway.
Personally, I do identify as non-binary, so I use they, them pronouns, so I find it a little comical. I think it's a little funny.
In Grand Rapids, barista Clay Eiley says the Republican ads just reinforce his support for Harris.
It's intentionally trying to alienate the transgender community.
However, political analysts say transgender rights are rarely mentioned when voters are asked about their top election issues.
I think it's not something that most voters think about.
Paul Beck is a professor emeritus of political science at The Ohio State University.
But they feel that here is a cultural issue that they can take advantage of and put the Democrats or the Democratic candidates in a difficult position.
In a recent interview on Fox News, Harris defended her position, saying she would follow the law, which ensures health care for prison inmates, including gender-affirming care. She noted that the U.S. Bureau of Prisons made such treatments available under Trump's administration as well. A CNN poll released on Wednesday showed Harris leading Trump by 48% to 43% among likely voters in Michigan. Other polling shows a dead heat going into Tuesday's election.
We are zeroing in on things that might change under a new Trump administration. The former president has promised to reinstate a ban on military service for transgender people and to block transition-related care for minors nationwide.
But what does this anti-LGBTQ rhetoric practically mean for a second Trump term? Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo. So, Stephen, what are you hearing from voters about a second Trump presidency?
Yeah, Kate and Clay, there's a lot of fear in many of the LGBTQ plus community, particularly about trans rights when it comes to the former president. Advocacy groups like the Human Rights Campaign posting today, "We are brokenhearted, but we are not broken," along with a list of different resources, including mental health resources for the community. The Trevor Project posting something very similar toward trans young people, saying your life matters, a nod to LGBTQ plus young people who are more than 4 times likely to commit suicide than their peers. There's a real sense that the progress that's been made over the past few years could be rolled back. Here's more of what some voters had to say.
I have a lot of friends and family that are, women, LGBTQ, so I fear for them. I think our country just got a lot less safe for them. And so, I don't know. Not the country I thought it was.
Also hearing from voters bringing up a Project 2025, which you'll remember promotes traditional American family. Trump has distanced himself from that, though there are many links between that effort and his campaign. Guys.
Yeah, Stephen, President-elect Trump's campaign ran ads with messaging around transgender issues. There's one that it was all over the place with the tagline, "Harris is for they, them." I wonder whether people in the LGBTQ community and others that you're talking to worry that things are really going to change under just tonally under a new Trump administration.
Certainly, and one thing that I'm hearing from voters is the fall of Roe versus Wade. They bring that up. The Obergefell decision, which happened in 2015, which legalized gay marriage, also based on the right to privacy, which is how Roe versus Wade ended up falling. They're bringing that up as something that they're seeing, again, with Project 2025, mentioning a traditional American value, something that many people are talking about. And President Trump himself mentioning the boys and girls sports. He's said that many many times talked about parents sending their kids to school, falsely claiming that they come home having received gender-affirming care, something that has not happened, but of course causing a lot of alarm and causing a lot of focus on this community, which is already in a lot of fear for how things are going to impact moving forward. One thing of hope I have heard from some of these voters is knowing that the president can't do anything on their own, that there are legislators that people plan to call and write to try to share what they hope gets done in our country.
Yeah. Stephen Romo, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
I think it's safe to say a lot was happening around the U.S. elections concerning Trump and Kamala Harris. And if you're like me, I'm a fan and a follower of Candace Owens, and I do believe in most of the values that she believes in and the value of family. So obviously I was rooting for Trump to win between the two because there's a restoration of certain Christian values and principles that the West has fully left behind. Things that used to be taboo that are no longer taboo, that are wrong. I mean, a nation that kills its children and legalizes and celebrates the killing of its babies through abortion is absolutely atrocious. I cannot support that kind of behavior or that kind of belief system. A nation that castrates its men and cuts off the breasts of its women, I cannot. Or that stunts, changes the growth of its children through hormonal therapy just because they woke up feeling like a girl or woke up feeling like a boy. And most of us, I know I did, went through a phase where I was more of a tomboy than anything, and I behaved like a boy. I remember I was in boarding school. In boarding school, I used to dress, I used to sag my pants. And I actually had a lesbian friend who one day tried to kiss me. And I obviously moved away because I was actually shocked. I knew, she was betting for the same team, but I was like, wow, wait a minute, I'm not there. I was totally into boys, have been into boys. I love masculine energy. I love men, but I love my husband above all men. But that's just who I am. That's my preference. Even though I used to dress like a boy in high school, and that's what I preferred. I preferred the sneakers. I preferred to be baggy, but it didn't mean just because I like dressing like a boy that I wanted to be a boy. You get me? So it's very important that that the changes that Trump is coming with come forth, and it's not going to be comfortable for everyone. It's not going to be as easy for them to change their agenda when they want to. And it's not even a change, it's a mutilation of the body, because whatever gender you're born with, that's the gender that you are. There's nothing you can do to change that. It's in your DNA, it's in your chromosomes, it's in every piece of you or what gender. Simply removing a penis or simply chopping off your breast does not change the gender that you are. Now, be given a chance as an adult to make a decision if that's what you want to do. But leave the children alone. Let them be confused. Let them go through phases. Let them outgrow if they're going to outgrow. But don't alter something. And it has been proven that this therapy actually is irreversible. There are many detransitioners who have come forth to say, I was told that this thing can be undone if I wake up one day and I want to be a man that I was born as. I cannot undo some of the hormonal things that I have done to myself. They shall remain as they are. Some, the voice gets deeper, and even if they stop the hormonal therapy and stop everything that they're doing to your body, it can never be returned. Right? Some have stopped their family jewels have stopped operating completely, even though they do have them, but because of the therapy that they were taking in order to transition from a man to a woman, they no longer work. So their lives have changed completely when they change their minds and decide, you know what, I'd rather have a fully functioning body, even if I'm physically man and feel like a woman. But at least everything works and everything is okay, right? So I'm fully on board with the changes that Trump is bringing, and they're going to be forced to actually change a few things and to look a bit differently. I mean, for me, most of this is insanity. It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse, right? It's one thing to be attracted to the same sex as yourself. It's another thing to start chopping off your body parts in order for you to become more like. And the truth is, these transitioners have spoken about this, that they never, ever, ever actually get to feel like a woman. That if they transition from being a man to being a woman, they never feel like a woman. Because you don't make a woman after a man has been made out of that body. It's not possible. Right? So for me, I am really looking forward to what it's going to look like for the Americans as these changes come through. And definitely abortions, no ways. The way I think the US generally just does everything to the most extreme. To the most extreme. I do not support abortion in any way, shape, or form, no matter how you fell pregnant. You'd rather deliver that child and hand them over to a shelter or abandon them in a place where they can be found by another human being who will then go on to take care of them. But they deserve, once they've come into this world, they deserve to have a full life experience. They did not decide to be conceived. It was two grown-ups who decided. And it can also be like in the case of rape, for example. As traumatic as it is, I do believe that aborting a child, even from rape, is still traumatic to the mother. So they don't have to raise that child if they don't want to, but they don't have to kill them either. The child has already been conceived. They're here. Give them a chance to live. If you don't want them, give them away. Put them somewhere, abandon them at the steps of a police station, abandon them at the shelter. The truth of the matter is they will be looked after. One way or another, somebody's going to pick them up, because a lot of people are actually waiting to adopt babies, especially newborns. Especially newborns. There are couples out there who are willing, able, and actually want to adopt. Some are unable to have children. You hand them over to these shelters and they make the right connection with the adoption places as far as the babies are concerned. Now, we do know that the older kids do struggle, and it becomes a different thing. But I don't support abortion in any way, shape, or form. And I believe that naturally, that's not how God wanted us to take care of our babies. It seems so wrong for you to conceive a child. They didn't decide to be conceived. And when they start forming in your womb, you decide to end their life. And that's exactly what it is. I don't believe in this clump of cells that you call a fetus. Once a conception has happened, a baby has started to form. They may not look like a full baby yet, but they are already a baby. They're already assigned a soul by God. They've already been sent down to earth to say, okay, you have a mission, you have a goal, you have a purpose, and for your generation, this is going to be your contribution. This is how you're going to change lives. This is the package that I'm giving you to bring to your generation, and this is how you're going to be great. This is how this is how you're going to help everybody else in this sense, in this way. And what you do as a human being in abortion, you abort that mission. You cut it off and you turn what is a full soul and a spirit and a human that is assigned a mission, has value, is important. You decide that they mean nothing. They're just a clump of cells. So I'm really pro-life, as Americans would say, and I'm really against abortion. I know this has been a rant, but this is why I'm putting this portion after the video so that you don't have to wait for this. However, these are the values that I hold, that I stand by.